Hey guys, welcome back to Podcast. So for today's video, I will be reviewing one of the newest releases from Majorette. And yeah, this is one of the models that they were releasing under the Majorette collection lineup. So this is their newest and the latest addition to their collection called the Collection, which are a much more true to 64 scale compared to their regular releases like this one. So I bought these two models a couple days ago, and this one is the newer releases from the collection lineup, and this one is the regular releases from Majorette. And this is much more like the 3-inch sizing. Meanwhile, for this model, this collection lineup, it is closer to the 64 scale, just like the brands you'll see here on my background. So yeah, this is their first time in making the true 64 scale model. And as you can see, this is the packaging for their releases, which we are going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, I want to talk about the series first. So this is their first assortment or their first batch, and it comes in the 6 models for each batch. So let me zoom in. So the first batch, they were contained with the Chevrolet Bel Air and the Shelby GT350, and then the sought after Porsche 930 Turbo, and then the Chevrolet Camaro, I think this is the IROC Z, and then the Honda NSX-R GT, and this one, the Chevrolet Corvette C6R. And this model came in this kind of like blister packaging, which I really kind of like, maybe I kind of like it, but at the same time it kind of like have a disadvantage to displaying itself, because as you can see, the normal true 64 models are like this acrylic packaging, and Majorette also did that with this acrylic packaging, but then they were kind of like making it difficult for us to first to display and then to open the model, because as you can see right here, this is what the model looks like when you bought it, and the blister and the acrylic packaging, it was glued inside this paper thin kind of like the artwork, the card artwork, and you have to tear it apart to open and to take out the blister packaging, like I did right here. I need to open the bottom side of this packaging to kind of like to take out the acrylic packaging, and it kind of damages the packaging itself, the blister itself, and it's not really aesthetically pleasing when you display it like that. And that is one of the disadvantages that I didn't quite like about the packaging of the new Majorette. And hopefully maybe on the future releases, maybe on the second batch, or maybe far in the future, that they could do some revise or maybe do some upgrades on the packaging, so that we can display it like this older or this other brands that were releasing in 364 scale model. So yeah, the packaging itself, it's pretty much like a standard maybe Hot Wheels. So you got this Majorette right here on the top left of the card, and then obviously the card art, which is great. You can see the details of the models right here, and then it was there is this metal, because this model is a die cast, and it was full metal. The body itself is metal, and the base itself is metal. And then back again on the back, so you could see right here, this is an actual 1/64 scale model with the metal chassis, as I said earlier, and then the rubber tires, which are obviously a standard for this true 64 scale model, and a showcase means this blister packaging. So yeah, I think that's about it for the packaging, and now let's take a closer look on the model and see the details. Alright, so this is what the model looks like outside of the packaging. I've already taken out the acrylic packaging from the blister, and this is a very nicely done packaging from Majorette. And as you can see, this is a very decent acrylic packaging with the model name on the front, the 2005 Chevrolet Corvette C6R, and it is also easy to open, just like that. Let's put the acrylic aside first. So this is the model, and let's talk about the base first. So the base itself is pretty basic. Aside from the model name at the front, there is nothing left to say on the base itself. Yeah, there's nothing much aside from the bottom. We got the Majorette and also the screw that holds the model onto the base, and that's it. So yeah, let's talk about the model starting from the front. So this is the Corvette C6R. Wait, why the cameras look like that? Continue. So let's talk about from the front side of the model. So this is the Corvette C6R, and let's talk about the headlights first. So this has the plastic headlights, the headlights cover, but then if you look inside the headlights, it was painted in body color, and this is not an issue for the Majorette, because the real life Corvette C6R also have the body color painted for the inner headlights. So this is kind of like correct to the real car. And then moving on, obviously we got the center Corvette badge right here at the bumper. And what else? So for a first effort from Majorette to make the true 64 scale model, this is their best effort, I think. And I think there are some room for improvement. For example, like at this front fog lights, which is still a painted or a sample printed, and maybe they could do some revisement or some upgrades again at the model by making this part in a plastic. And then at the front bumper right here, we could also see the separate parts for the air intakes, and it is not really very much detailed, and you couldn't see enough depth for the air intakes. As you can see, this is just a plastic mold. And then for the front, you could also see the front splitter, because this is a race car. Actually, this is a race car, and this is the front splitter. And then moving on to the side, so this is a very nicely done side profile for a Corvette C6R, the race car. One thing I like to note about this particular model is that even though this is a licensed model from Majorette, but unfortunately they didn't have the actual livery to put on this model. As you can see, we got obviously the yellow for the classic Corvette racing team color with the black one, but the livery itself, it's just it kind of looks like a fantasy livery from Majorette. As you can see right here, we got the Majorette sponsor right here with the number 69, which I don't really know the reason why they put this number. And then this is another Majorette logo, I think. And this some stripings on the rear fender. So this is a fantasy livery on an actual model car from Majorette, which is kind of like unfortunate. But anyway, let's talk about the wheels. So the wheels itself, it's pretty detailed, and I think we are going to see if it's easily rolling at the end of this video. but the details for these wheels is pretty nicely done, because you can see the multi-spokes on the wheels are nicely molded. And then these are the rubber tires, the same one as the rear side of the wheels, so this one has a similar size for the wheels. And then moving on to the back, now this is what I said about their first effort on the true 64 scale lineup, and it kind of shows that for the taillights right here, they are still using the tampo printed instead of the plastic taillights, just like their front headlights that is already using the plastic parts. So this is still a painted one, which is kind of like unfortunate. And then you could see the details for the Corvette logo at the bumper, and also the center logo and racing. I don't know, maybe this is the fantasy kind of like livery thing for the Majorette. And then for the wings itself, this is a separate parts, which means this is a plastic parts. It kind of like also not really looking very detailed, and this is just a plain black colored plastic, and it was not painted or not even putting some racing tampos on it. So yeah, that is kind of like unfortunate. But on the other hand, if you see the interior, this is a pretty detailed one. So as you can see, for a race car, this is a nicely done interior. So you could see some very complex details on the rear side of the interior, alongside with some roll cage right here that was continued to the side of the pillar, and then continue to the front, which you could see the steering, the dashboard and the steering wheels, and also the seats right there. So yeah, this is a pretty nicely done models for a first time by Majorette, their first true 64 scale model. And yeah, by the way, I think we are going to take a look on the base, on what's underneath the model by unscrewing this. So yeah, let me get the screw first, and we'll be back in a few short seconds. So this is the model that I already unscrewed from the base, and I also forgot to mention that about the side mirrors. So the side mirrors itself is a separate parts, which is very interesting, and it kind of looks like it was made from a plastic instead of a metal one. So you should be careful with this part, but it's still nice to see an actual side mirrors, also the true size for this Corvette side mirrors. So yeah, there you can see the details. This is a very nice side mirrors for the Corvette C6R. And yeah, anyway, so this is the underneath for the Corvette C6R by Majorette. And as you can see from the bottom of this model, this is pretty much look like just the regular Majorette. Which you can see this part right here, this is the spring for the wheels. So the regular Majorette has this kind of like spring features that will allow the model to kind of like bouncing. So they still have this on their true 64 scale lineup. And then other than that, it's basically just a regular Majorette base with the made in Thailand Majorette Chevrolet Corvette TM GM's licensing kind of thing. And then this one, the Diki Spilzuk, maybe this is the factory. And yeah, this is also screwed down with the screw instead of the rivet, so you could easily open the base. And if you do want to do a wheel swap, it will be easier, and if you want to do a custom, it will be much easier. So yeah, I think this is a very nice model from the Majorette, and I think I will wait for their future models. And there are some that I already wanted to buy at another time, like the Porsche 930, and then they also releasing the Ford GT40, the Mark 1, It was very interesting, but for the first impression that I got for this Corvette from Majorette collection lineup, this is a pretty nice model. And yeah, I think for its price, it's around 160,000 rupiah in my country, in Indonesia. So this is a pretty cheap one, and you could easily get it on the store. So yeah, I think this is a pretty nice model from Majorette. And I think that's it for this video, guys, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.